Hello there, my fellow myth and fantasy nerds. My name is Tanner, and I'd like to welcome you back to my YouTube channel. So, apologies if you can hear some construction noises in the background. My dad and his girlfriend are currently doing some work downstairs. Now that we're up to speed, today's video will be the third installment of my series where I introduce you to the D&D characters that I've created but haven't played yet. As mentioned in my previous videos, linked to the playlist in the cards and in the description, I decided to break this series down by character race, or species if you prefer, and this week I will be going over my Dragonborn characters. Now, I bet those of you who aren't in the know are thinking, what in the world is a Dragonborn? Well, to put it simply, Dragonborn are essentially humanoids that were hatched from dragon eggs, and they tend to look like wingless, tailless, bipedal dragons. In short, they aren't dragons, but they aren't human either. So make sure you leave a like on this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe down below, since that always helps. And without further ado, allow me to introduce to you the first character in this, the third group of D&D characters that I've created. Drunkanuulath, you're on! I'm on? Oh! Greetings all. My name is Drunkanuulath-Dragonborn, and I am a Dragonborn Bard. Please, feel free to call me drunk. Trust me, it's much easier that way. Well, come on now, sit down for a spell, and I'll tell you my backstory. It starts in a dragon cave, where my single mother and I lived. You see, my mother was good friends with Thorum, a silver dragon, who allowed her and me to stay with her in her den. And in exchange, my mother, and when I was old enough, I, would provide services, such as greeting guests, cleaning, maintaining inventory, and cooking fine meals. I have such fond memories. Playing in piles of treasure, stirring a 2,000-gallon soup pot, donning magic clothes and weapons, leafing through esoteric books of powerful magic, just to look at the pictures, and attempting to outwit our draconic landlady with whatever games and puzzles I could think of. Now I left to seek my fortune on good terms, about the same time as Thorum's youngling, Clarith, with whom I share a very close, almost brotherly bond, left to establish his own territory. And I hope someday to carve out a little bit of the world for myself. Now, Tanner's plan, once he plays me to the correct level, of course, is for me to become a College of Swords bard. Now, what this means is, rather than entertaining crowds with singing and music like other bards, I entertain using swords and other blades. Doing things like sword swallowing, knife juggling, mock combats. Yeah, you get the idea. Now, at this point, my highest score is obviously going to be my charisma at 18. Not too shabby if I do say so myself. Whereas my worst score actually isn't my strength this time, but instead my wisdom at 10, which is still average, but not that great. As for my alignment, I am chaotic good. Anywho, it was a pleasure to make your acquaintance, and now I will pass it over to the next character. Oh, Urthistel! What was that, Drunk? Oh, hey there. My name is Urthistel-Dragonborn, and as with the others you're gonna meet, I am a Dragonborn. However, unlike Drunk over there, I am not a bard, but a warlock, though my upbringing is very similar to his. So long story short, once Clarith and I left our home to carve our own paths, I ran across a few doves in a hunter's trap, and being the nice guy that I am, I set the doves free. A few days later, I had a very strange dream, in which an angelic fey being holding a bow spoke to me. He said he was Cupid, the archer of romance, and those doves that I saved were his messengers. So he thanked me for rescuing them from an uncertain fate, and he offered me a deal: a warlock pact where he would give me magic, and in exchange he would send me matchmaking assignments. I've been matchmaking people all over the world ever since. Now, as for my ability scores, charisma is going to be my strongest score, being a warlock, at 16. Because I'm just that charming. And unfortunately, my worst score is my strength at 6. Yeah, I know I'm pretty wimpy, but hey, who needs muscles when you can blast people with magic, you know? So anyway, my patron is an archfey, as mentioned before, and when he made a pact with me, he gave me a heart-shaped quartz pendant on a golden chain to use as an arcane focus. Now, when Tana plays me and gets me to the right level, he plans on having us go with Pact of the Blade, where my patron will give me an enchanted weapon, which again, despite the name, Tana plans on it being a bow. However, unlike Toe from the last video, it's not going to be fully made of wood ripped from the tree, but it's going to be golden, and it's going to have heart-shaped markings carved into it. Also, just like Drunk, who you just met, my alignment is going to be chaotic good. Oh wait, look who it is! Next character Santa wants you to meet. Hey, Frenchie, come on over here, won't ya? Urthistel, for the last time, it's Prenxar. Oh, greetings to you, and may Bahamut's wings be your protection. My name is Prenxar-Zorskan, and as with the others in this video, I am a Dragonborn. However, in my case, I am a sorcerer, specifically a divine soul sorcerer. My backstory begins at a temple to Bahamut, the Platinum Dragon, god of good dragons, of wisdom, and of justice that has been tempered with mercy. I was the son of 2 clerics of that temple, and there was a prophecy that a child descended from one of Bahamut's exarchs would be born, and he would become a great warrior, favored by the Platinum Dragon. They say that when I was born, the other clerics saw a holy light shine from the sky, and heard Bahamut say that I was the child of that prophecy. I was raised in the temple from then on, learning about the outside world, learning about my magic when it manifested itself, and learning about what the prophecy said about my destiny. Unfortunately, one day a band of raiders came in and destroyed my temple home, killing most of the clerics there. In the end, I was the only survivor. I have wandered the world ever since, meeting many new people and seeing new places along the way. Now, my highest score, being a sorcerer, is my charisma at 19, whereas my worst score is technically my wisdom, though honestly not by much, since that's at 14. Now, unlike with my fellow Dragonborn characters, my alignment is not chaotic good, but rather neutral good. Anyway, it was a pleasure to meet you, but I should probably send you over to the next character. Gaccan? Gaccan? Gaccan! Try and give me a heart attack, why don't you? Sorry, I shouldn't have yelled. I'm just easily startled. I'm Gaccan. Gaccan-Draughaza. And I am a Dragonborn Druid. Now, my story is actually rather similar to Noah and Camry from the last two videos. More so like Noah than Camry, though, since the dragon that destroyed my druidic village was a white dragon rather than a red one. Also, since again, like Camry, I'm not an Azamar, I didn't have an angelic guide to warn me about my village, but I had to hear it being destroyed, which is arguably worse. Now, like with the others, Tana has not yet played me, but he does plan on making me a Circle of Wildfire druid once I get to the correct level. Also, as with most of the other Dragonborn you've met, and you will meet, I am chaotic good. My highest score, since I'm a druid, is my wisdom with 17. But my lowest scores are my strength and my intelligence at 9. I guess you could say I'm not that strong, and at least I'm not that book smart, but I do have a lot of common sense and, wisdom. Anyway, it was a pleasure to make your acquaintance, but I need to go commune with nature since that helps to calm me down. Hey Teldrak, you mind taking over from here? What was that, Gaccan? Oh, my sincerest apologies. I did not see you there. Greetings. I am Teldrak Fairfarn, and I am a Dragonborn Wizard. Now, my story is actually quite similar to Drunken Urthistel that you met earlier, except for the fact that when I left, my silver dragon landlady gave me my notebook in order to record any spells that I wanted to learn, so I could teach myself wizardry and all that. Now, as I am a wizard, my highest score is obviously going to be my intelligence at 16. Unfortunately, my worst scores are my strength and my wisdom, both of which are at 11, which I suppose is still above average, but not by a wide margin of error. Now, like with my fellow Dragonborn characters, well, most of them anyway, I am of the chaotic good alignment. And Tanner's intent, as soon as he plays as me, is to specialize as an Order of Scribes wizard, as soon as I get to the appropriate level. Anywho, it was a pleasure to make your acquaintance, of course. However, we've got to round off this group of characters, and I think I know just the Dragonborn for the job. Oh, Vuccic, I believe someone just insulted your tribe. Gotta go. Where are they? Oh, sorry if I scared you. I'm Vuccic, Vuccic-Dragonborn. Once again, I'm also a Dragonborn. However, unlike the others, I am a Dragonborn Barbarian. Now, my story begins the same as most of the other characters here. You know, me living in a dragon den, living on my own when Clarith left the nest, yada yada yada. Now again, since Tana has not played me yet, Vuccic, this is not battle. You don't have to rage. I do not have a character level yet, but the plan is, when he eventually does play me, when I reach the right level, I will take the barbarian path of the ancestral guardian. Now, my best score is going to be my strength at 18, and my worst score is going to be my wisdom at 10. So I've got some average common sense. What's it to you? And of course, my alignment is chaotic good, like most of the others. Anyway, I think it's high time Tanner wrap up here. Tanner, get over here! Vuccic, if I've told you barbarian characters once, I've told it you 1,000 times. Just because you're barbarians does not give you an excuse to be so aggressive. It's almost like they never listen to me. Anyway, and there we have it. That was the third set of D&D characters that I've created, but have not played yet. If you like this video and you want more, please leave it a like and subscribe down below so you don't miss any new videos. Also, if there are any other ideas for any future videos, please leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and who knows, it might just happen. Alright, well, that's all the time I have for this video, so I'll see you all next week with a brand new one. See you guys then.